And a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us here for, well, the refreshed version of Conversations with Michael. Now coming to you at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the first Saturday of every month. We think it's a great way to start your day. And if you'd like to help support these free live energy updates, feel free to use the donate button below this video on our website. We deeply appreciate all your support. So let's take that deep breath here together. And let yourself feel into all the energies that are here in support of a most profound opportunity. Very good. Very good. We've got a lot to talk about here today, including introducing the presence of Archangel Michael. So let's begin by reminding yourself how precious your energy is to this planet right now. How precious your light is to your human self. And its willingness to now do what? Hopefully to serve it. Hopefully to serve it. We wake up every morning to a new day, expecting that the life we were living yesterday will just continue to unfold as it always has. Yesterday just keeps calling, repeating itself over and over again. And then something happens. Something happens that changes that pattern. Something truly profound. It doesn't need to be shocking or painful, but sometimes it is. Right now, all of us are now experiencing a new foundation for being human. For us, it's taken the form of being a spiritual revolution. But for most people, it will change their life in whatever way speaks to them. And for those of you that chose to be at the front line of such a change, well, you're now feeling it more than ever before. Both from how you experience your own divine nature and all that comes with that, including the awareness that this is no different. What a lot of you are now experiencing from what Yeshua or Buddha also experienced. And that's a really bold thing to own, right? Most people would label that as being delusional. And they might be right, except for the fact that both Buddha and Yeshua also declared the enlightened state that they allowed is also available to all of us as a direct experience. It doesn't have to come through any particular teaching. Each of us have our own unique experience, which is contrary to a lot of spiritual teachings. So many of you are now feeling how this change is truly impacting your life in relationship to a variety of roles you've played throughout your history as a human being. And because of that, you might be experiencing a very intense release from what you might ask, and why is it so intense? For some very old roles that help to support our awareness that we were not free. Take a moment to breathe with that. From some very old roles that help to support our awareness at that time that we are not free in our attachment to them, in our devotion to others that have helped to support those very roles that we played. This is all coming about in part due to a very passionate plea for change. And what do we mean by that? Well, for most of you that are watching today, that passion has also fueled your very existence for eons, long before Earth was ever created. So your passion hasn't really changed, but your experience of it has, big time. What we're now experiencing in this fresh new moment can be incredibly exhilarating and frightening, both at the same time. That's why today's session is called A Sovereign Heart. We're going to begin by honoring a part that so many of you have played, by acknowledging the role of the mother and its relationship to the original mother and her own unique story, and how that has greatly influenced not only our human experience, but all of creation. So let's take a deep breath right there. Where we're going with this is safe. Where we're going with this now is all about your freedom. Inside the original mother's story, a new heart started to emerge, what Michael calls a sovereign heart. A heart that doesn't feel responsible for how any other being chooses to experience their life. The sovereign heart is constantly sharing a quality of love that can only be fully understood when we, as individuated soul beings, allow ourselves to feel a true love for whom? Well, of course, for ourselves, but in such a way that it also sets our old story free. When you tap into the core of your soul, all of you can feel the original mother's presence. She has always been there. She has never been missing. Some of you here today, you have carried this very presence with you into every single lifetime. And it almost broke your heart to witness firsthand, here as a human being, such an extreme disconnect from her. And because we are talking about it in this way, some of you, for no reason at all, find yourself wanting to shed some tears. So let those tears flow, my friends. It helps to move the energies. all those energies that were supporting a perception that you're not free or that she doesn't exist. So now, when you truly love yourself, you will also experience the same love the original mother now has for herself, but in your own unique way. You will experience a new relationship to your own heart that now only shares the overflow of energy that you have received first for yourself. How new is that? How selfish is that? To only show the overflow of what you're first willing to receive for yourself? Who's teaching that? Well, quite a few these days, relative to the history of humanity, and that's a good thing, right? How many human beings on this planet know how to love themselves? How many women have been given permission to stop taking care of everybody else and start taking care of yourself? So where does that lead us? Well, no more pity parties. No more relying on sympathy. By embracing this new sovereign heart, you now take full responsibility for your own experience. All of us spend a lot of time and energy enduring a degree of pain from not feeling free to express ourselves. Look at the world around us. So to help ease the pain that we can also feel from other parts of ourself, let alone the trillions of beings that have yet to discover such a love for themselves. So this is new. This sovereign heart is now acting as a new support base for your human experience, but not only for your life, but for all those women who will be invited in the next couple of decades to act as the new leaders on this planet. Let's put that into perspective. It is critical, my friends, that they feel your support, but in a new way, not from the story that helped to define the role that most women on this planet have played, a role that was disrespectful and abusive, a role that had you compromising your freedom just to survive the human experience. But a new story that is unwilling to take on energies that were never yours to carry or process, it represents a true defining moment, a major shift in the gender roles that will allow all of us to be on this planet, but not of the old story. There it is, right? That's the ascension. To allow us to be on this planet, but not of the old story. That's what's creating the new reality. But we warn you, as some of you have already discovered, the releasing or cleansing of that old story can be really intense. And a lot of you are feeling that as we speak. Layers upon layers of conflicted emotions, most of it you inherited from the lineage of this human story. But there also exists our cosmic story. So, during these cleansing episodes, if you find the need to blame something, for the most part, it's connected to what your passion invoked. Indeed, it's the Christ light. Such a light can and will act like a rotor-rooter. It offers to you a clean reset, but at a cost. Because the roles that all of you have been playing, both from other parts of you that exist within you, and with those that benefit from your willingness to sacrifice yourself, it is those roles that perceive the Christ light to be outside of themselves. It's one of the reasons we've added so many group sessions to all of our workshops and classes, so that all of you can encourage each other to stay true to this new sovereign heart. Now, acting as supports to each other, but as curators of your own experience, so as not to get distracted from what has been. And there's a lot there from what has been. Let's take another deep breath. A lot of you that have been following our work over all these years, remember how it all started with the presence of Archangel Michael, who represents a part of my oversoul. But there's a big difference there. Archangels don't have the freedom, the same freedom, as most soul beings. I know that sounds kind of strange, but unlike all of us, they can't pretend they are not the original self. So they play a very important role in creation. For me, it's been 12 years since I've allowed this part of my soul to step forward. But my oversoul, Michael, he insists that this part of him is needed now more than ever on this planet. And when he says it like that, he's got my undivided attention, speaking both for Robert and for my soul, Kethra. Because there are so many changes that are unfolding as we speak. Some of you are feeling it right now emotionally. Most of you are feeling it physically in a way that might cause some concern. So it's important for me to state that if you are having physical issues, I'm not a doctor. Go see a doctor. Indeed, go see a doctor. There are a lot of energies that have faithfully supported so many of the roles all of us have played, both as men and women. These very roles have dominated our human experience, but they are now changing in a very dramatic way. As a woman, most of you played those roles just to survive. We get it. We get it. And when you, as a woman, leave this planet and talk with your friends in the non-physical realms, your patience for listening to their perspective will grow really thin. So many of you will invite these beings to try walking in your shoes. You'll encourage them to feel what it's like to be a woman surrounded by warriors inside of a dense physical environment. And that usually is all it takes to shut them down. So, those very survival issues, they become a part of the human experience. They become a part of your own biology. What is happening to them with this Christ light now so present, anchored to this planet, and your soul more present than ever before, and your oversoul right behind it, all those survival issues are coming to the surface. They feel like they're in your face, right? Why? Because so many of you have now chosen to play a new role for the first time. But for that to be real, the old must be released. It must be. The garbage has got to be taken out. So we can hear some of you declaring, yes, it's about time. Freedom at last. And you're right. It is about this time. But releasing the energies that have supported the traditional heart can be really uncomfortable. You might start to question your own health and well-being. But what you're really doing is simply incredible. What you're really doing is preparing your body and mind for the sovereign heart. Let's give it another title. A free heart. Imagine that. A heart that is free. My friends, the original mother exists inside of you. Yes, she has her own story. And in so many ways, what all of us, men and women, are experiencing is but a reflection of a beautiful story that began to emerge between the original mother and father, a true love story. It evolved over time, but it's all based in love into what it is right now. Two sovereign beings now offering, radiating a very sacred love they discovered for themselves. Now, as an inspiration to the rest of creation, as an inspiration to all beings, to an inspiration to all of us here on earth, as human beings, they don't perceive each other as the missing part that completes them. They experience themselves as already being complete. It represents a fresh, new perspective on reality. One that has us perceiving ourselves as being divine too. So where does that leave us? Well, someone needs to show the way. By not letting your fears from your past, or the conditions you inherited, or your devotion to those that have played a part in your movie every single lifetime. It is our honor to be of service to the ones on this planet who were so determined to be here at this time. So determined that you literally pushed aside all those other beings who were patiently waiting for their turn to incarnate. Because you could clearly see they lacked that determination. You knew you would need it just to survive the conditions you would inherit. And now here we are. Finally, in this fresh new moment, surrounded by a light we've been praying for, well, for ages. And what is the reaction to such a presence? Well, from the human part, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns as to how this light will change your life. And it will. If your passion is clear, this is all about your freedom. So this would be a very good time to thank all of those beings, human and otherwise, that have acted as your support team. All of them have played a variety of roles, hoping, praying that someone in your group would get it. Someone would wake up. And that someone happened to be you in this lifetime. In the non-physical realms, a lot of your group support team members are cheering you on like proud parents. They're pointing you out for others to see. And what do they see? They see, as I can see in all of you, your light has become incredibly brilliant. It now aligns you with a state of consciousness that supports and encourages living a joy-filled life. There's no doubt that all of you would say yes to more of this, if not for one small problem. It might appear that those that have acted as your support team over all these lifetimes, it appears to you that they might be left behind. And their response to your newfound freedom is less than what you were hoping for. So what's the fully awakened human being to do? Go back to the old story? Go back to the old heart? Feel responsible yet again for the health and well-being of others? Or offer yourself from a place of love as a shining example to inspire anyone and everyone that's ever been in your experience? As one that has embraced and now embodied a new sovereign heart, a free heart. My friends, if not for this underlying guilt that it was you, not anyone else, it was you that awakened to a new way of being. So what did all of you do to relieve yourself of this guilt? Well, of course, you decided not to ascend, meaning leave this planet. You decided to stick around a little longer, but now as an ascended being. And for that, we have to thank you. From the bottom of our heart, we have to thank you with all of our heart. If it took your guilt to keep you here, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's all take another deep breath. And once again, allow the presence of both your soul and its oversoul to be a part of today's gathering. Let your own energy, as best that you can, move to the very front now of your life. Make its presence the most important gift you can give to yourself. It offers the very guidance and support your human part has been yearning for, pleading for, but by looking outside of itself, hoping that others would value you. We're not blind to all the horrendous events that are taking place on this planet every single day. But at the same time, there is something that is calling your heart, which we believe will help to change the reality that all of us have endured for so long. And to talk more about that, it is my honor to step aside once again and allow my dear friend Archangel Michael to step forward, but of course, not as a channeled message, There's nothing here that we're demonstrating that's not also available to all of you. Take another deep breath. Indeed it is. Thank you, Robert and Kethra, for allowing me to once again be of service, but in this way. During this, the most incredible shift known to any being anywhere, throughout all of creation, and the fact that you are experiencing it here on this planet called Earth, that should tell all of you a little bit about how other beings also perceive you. Earth is not some kind of penal colony for lost souls. This is a place for masters, no matter how it might look. This is the place where you can act as a witness to your own inner reality, projecting that onto the screen of what you call a physical reality, the state of your own consciousness, which to all of you, that happened to sound like a really great idea. No more hidden agendas, no more secrets. But to most of creation, what you have chosen to experience sounds like pure hell. And many have actually labeled this planet as such. But it represents a true jewel. And you, my friends, are the ones that are shining a light unlike anything creation has ever seen on earth. So thank you again. It is I, Archangel Michael. And these are the very changes that all of us have been dreaming of for eons. But they first had to touch the heart of an individual human being before we could call it the collective experience it has become. All of you that are here today, you know me very well. We have a shared history, do we not? Well before this planet was ever created, one that for the most part had you choosing sides. Which side will you be on? The light or the dark? And it still appears to represent the main theme for most of creation. Until now. Oh, indeed, the battle between those two perspectives will still get the most airplay, no matter its source. But what has emerged inside of so many of you is not willing to engage itself in that reality any longer. And because of that, and because of what you have also now allowed, what you have reclaimed is so new, and yet at the same time, doesn't it feel very familiar? Doesn't it feel actually very ancient? So from the human perspective, and even your soul's perspective, it can feel a little fragile at times. Very vulnerable to a variety of influences whose intention is to distract you. So I'm honored to be here, to be of service, but not in the old way. Meaning that with so many of you that are here today, and all those that will follow, oh, my devotion remains steadfast, but now to a reality that is all-inclusive to any being who is willing to shift their perception from outside of themselves to their own inner reality, and from there to embrace what appears to be hidden, just lurking in the shadows of your own thoughts, as being what? Evil? Not at all. As being a part of your own soul lineage, your own story. who, like all of you, no matter what you labeled yourself, also has but one agenda. What is that? What has been lurking in the background of your being? All of you just want to go back home. You just want to go back home. You see that very theme playing out here on earth over and over again. Home has literally become the lineage of your human family, the country you were born into, your relationship to social norms, in the race you embodied. Home has become divided and packaged as a way of life. But all that is now changing. Why? Because so many of you and others like you have changed in a very dynamic and for some in an unexpected way. After all these lifetimes and all the experiences you had in the non-physical realms, you found that so many beings have been looking for. Your original home was once called the kingdom. It existed inside the core of creation. But you have also discovered that it also exists as individuated parts of the original self inside the core of your soul. And the funny thing is, it's always been there, which is a little hard to admit, as that relates to your cosmic and human story. This yearning, this underlying passion to go home has not only created a very wounded heart, but the perception of not being able to get back has dramatically changed the consciousness of countless beings. So the shift of your perception has so many of us now celebrating. It's as if someone has opened a window in a very stuffy reality. And when you're approached by a variety of beings, when you do leave this planet, as to how you did it, most of you will respond simply by saying, you opened the window inside of you. And there it was. This very innocent and pure presence radiating deep inside of you without any force, without any energy, simply radiating what? All is well. I am that I am. We are that we are. Divine is. The energy came later as an expression of itself. And your biggest hurdle was simply to allow itself to express itself as you too. I get to witness that very expression in so many of you that feel drawn to ancient wings. It's one of the hardest things for your mind to do, to trust that such an expression is, well, real. But also, besides just being real, is also reliable, dependable, consistent, and available. So here on earth as a human being, you can put all of that to the test. All the issues, all the concerns that so many non-physical beings feel, because feeling homeless can break your heart if you truly feel you don't deserve to be loved. Let's take another deep breath. It's one of those conversations, right? Why mess around? Well, There's a reason why, because there isn't time for that. The time of procrastination really has come to an end, because this is the time that all of you had waited for, the opportunity that all of you pleaded for and invoked. Now we know this has also been a very busy week for Coca and Robert. So we're going to keep today's message short. Robert in the background is saying, this is short. At least it feels that way to me. It does. In the meantime, we only have 3 days until our next gathering of creators inside the Masters Unplugged community, a place that helps you feel more connected, not only to your soul, but with others like you. The light from this community has made its way into other realms. To do what? Well, encouraging them to stop and feel what is actually touching their heart in this lifetime, like so many other lifetimes. You don't have to talk to your shadow on the wall of a cave. You can help to support such an innocent and precious opportunity to now be the light you have been searching for all these lifetimes. The one that you call Buddha, he allowed such a light. He, in his devotion to this light, left behind his own biological family and his lineage in service to sharing his growing awareness. He wasn't a perfect human being. There is no such thing. But he spoke of a truth that is the birthright of all human beings. He spoke of a freedom from within that indeed can heal all the suffering. His devotion to such a freedom was literally off the scales. But his way of making that real was simply that. It was his way. It didn't have to become your way for it to also be real for you. So there comes a time when each of you, in your own unique way, will feel called to act on being you. But now, that you is also a divine creator. You will know its time, as many already have, when the call itself is greater than your fears, greater than your doubts, greater than all those human concerns. Because on the outside, it might appear you're being of service to others, but the truth lies within yourself. You will discover that you simply can't contain the joy of being in love with you. And it is this very love that will set all of you free. Free of what? Free of your lack of trust in yourself. And that energy, my friends, is very, very old. It inspired you as angelic beings to actually lend a hand in helping to create this planet. But this self we speak of, it does not rest in the hands of your human identity. This is not something that part of you will ever become by itself. The self we are talking to is your soul. If Siddhartha had not accepted the role of being of service to its soul, the Buddha would never have existed. You would have been denied of such a teaching, such a presence. All of you here today, you represent the modern day masters. We know your human self has a really hard time embracing that as being real or even possible. But fortunately for that part of you, your soul is willing to work with that part if it's willing to serve it. And because you have chosen the more traditional roles, it keeps you, for the most part, out of the public's eye while going about your day. What you now represent is so foreign to most human beings. When they see your eyes glowing with your light, they just think you've got a really bad case of allergies. But you and I both know the truth. You are a living, walking, Christed being of light, which doesn't represent the opposite of the darkness. It represents any being who has the courage to open the doors inside of themselves to those parts of you that haven't been acknowledged for the role they are playing, or parts of you that might be a little jealous of the opportunity you are now experiencing for yourself, as if to say, why does God love you but not me? But the perception of being separated from such a presence, it's this very perception that gave birth to an external God. I miss the water, Robert. Indeed. So during the next, 100 years, the acknowledgement of that will help to bring about the realization of what so many of you have already embraced. It's all inside of you. So as we do bring this session to a close, thank you again for choosing to be on this planet at this time. And for those of you that would like to participate in more of what Ancient Wings has to offer, but maybe find yourself lacking the resources to make that real, place a higher value on your life, on yourself. You no longer need to deny yourself of anything that would bring you joy. Yes, we know your story might have a hard time believing in such a thing, but it's true. By allowing your soul to also be in your life, you naturally attract to you all the support you need. Your soul already knows how to command its own creations. Invite it to speak these words. I choose to experience unlimited abundance in all of my experiences, all of my creations. So be it. If you need a little help with that, visit the Ancient Wings website. The only thing holding you back from being free, my friends, is you. Is now a good time to set free any part of you that isn't allowing such a freedom to be real. You already know it is. You already know it is. My role here is just to keep reminding you, because it's so easy to get lost inside such a dense physical reality as Earth. Until our next gathering, be well, my friends.